In Lesson 2.9, we're going to work on multiplicative comparison problems. You will need your whiteboard marker and eraser, and your math journal. So starting to warm up on your whiteboard, I would like you to first of all look at that number at the top of your iPad and say it out loud. Go ahead. Did you read 1,754,396? Go ahead. And number 1 and number 2. Please write down the answer only to what digit is in the 10,000s place, and then tell me the value of that digit, just like we did on Unit 1 math test. Go ahead and pause the video if needed. Number 1, the number in the 10,000s place is 5. What is the value? 50,000. If I just look at the 5 and count the number of places after the 5, that's how many zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Next, I'm going to use the same screen. I want you to go ahead and draw angle ZRQ. Be careful. Remember what we need the R to be, the vertex. Please draw and label angle ZRQ. The one thing I need to remember is the R is the vertex where the two rays meet. So you can draw any angle. It could be an acute angle, it could be a right angle, it could be obtuse. I'm going to draw obtuse, which means it's larger than 90 degrees. And I'm going to remember that the middle letter always is the vertex. Then it wouldn't matter where I put my Z or where I put my Q. Another name for this angle would be angle Q, R, and Z. Go ahead and erase. I would like you to draw an acute angle. Please draw an acute angle. An acute angle is an angle that is less than 90 degrees. Now I'd like you to go ahead and draw an obtuse angle. An obtuse angle. An obtuse angle is greater than 90 degrees. So this would be obtuse. This would be obtuse. Now I'd like you to draw a pair of parallel lines. Do please draw a pair of parallel lines. Often when I walk across a set of railroad tracks. A set of railroad tracks reminds me of parallel lines. They are equal distance apart. They would never cross each other. And lastly, would you please draw a pair of perpendicular lines? Perpendicular lines form a 90-degree angle. All right, moving on to today's lesson. You will go ahead and wipe off your whiteboard. Today we're talking about comparing statements using multiplication. So look at the ribbons and then read the statement given. Here we have Eve's ribbon. Hers is green. Maxine's ribbon. Her ribbon is yellow. The statement that would be true would be Eve's ribbon is shorter than Maxine's ribbon. Measure the two ribbons in centimeters. Write 2 more statements describing how the lengths compare. I went ahead and measured them for you. Eve's ribbon is 7 centimeters, while Maxine's ribbon is 14. So I'm going to write a sentence or a statement describing how the lengths compare. One statement I could say that would be true is that Maxine's ribbon is twice as long as Eve's. 7 times 2 would give me 14. Another comparison statement I could say would be Eve's ribbon is half the length of Maxine's. Or I could say something like 2 of Eve's ribbons would be equal to the length of Maxine's ribbon. These are all comparison statements. Here's another statement. A DVD costs $15 and a book costs $5. If I were going to use multiplication and make a comparison statement, I could say something like this. The DVD costs 3 times, that's where the multiplication comes in, as much as the book. That would be a comparison statement using multiplication. Here's another one. Scarlett has 7 crayons in her pencil box. Liam has 4 times as many crayons as Scarlett. How many crayons does Liam have? I could do a visual representation of the crayons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would represent Scarlett. If Liam has 4 times that amount, he would have 4 rows of 7. Think about what arrays look like when we write them as a multiplication equation. We've done this before. We could say that 7 times 4 equals 28. Liam has 28 crayons. This is another example. On your whiteboard, let's try it now that you've watched 2 examples. On your whiteboard, please write number 1, and I want you to write the equation. What number is 4 times as many as 7? Remember, times means multiplication. What would that look like if I were going to write that as a multiplication equation? 4 times as many as 7. What does that equal, 4th graders? 7 times 4 is 28. That is the equation that I could write. Go ahead and erase your whiteboard. Here's another one. Will has 9 CDs. Jeremy has 3 times as many CDs as Will. How many CDs does Jeremy have? Again, here they gave you the equation. 3 times as many as Will. 3 times 9 would be 27. Jeremy would have 27 CDs. Now we're going to go ahead and work in our math journal. So you're going to open your math journal to page 53. We're going to practice some of these together, so please make sure that you are filling out your math journal as I am. You might not see the line, but the question looks just the same. The numbers match up. So it says, complete the problems below. Number 1, 42 is 6 times as much as 7. Record as an equation. I'll give you a little clue. The word is, when you see that word, write the equal sign. Is means equal. So if I just put those up there and the word times, guess what? I can get rid of some of these words and put down 42 is as the same as equals. So write this on the line that you have provided on journal page 53. 6 times as much as 7. That is the equation that you should have written. Number 2, what number is 4 times as much as 9? So is, remember, equals 4 and 9. So pay attention to those. So what number is 4 times as much as 9? Well, we need to finish that equation. What is 4 times 9? 36. Remember those multiplication problems. If you have those memorized, those facts, it's going to help you incredibly in each and every lesson. Moving on to number 3, solve the number story. Write an equation and use a letter to stand for the unknown. We call this a variable. We use lowercase letters like A, or we might use X, or we might use C. They're lowercase and they're meant to represent what we're trying to solve for. So John's marble rolled 48 inches. So this is John's path. Alana's rolled 12 inches. This represents Alana's. I'm going to go ahead and write an equation with an unknown to represent this comparison. So we know that Alana's is 12 inches. Remember, you're recording this on journal page 53. So I'll just remind you of that. You shouldn't have moved pages. We know that hers is 12 inches. We know that if we multiply that by something, we will get how far John's rolled, which was 48 inches. What I'm trying to do is find out how many times longer John's is than Alana's. So I'm going to use the letter A. Now, we tend not to use X's because X can also represent multiplication. So I'm solving for A. Another way to say this would be 48 inches divided by Alana's 12 inches gives me how many times greater? The answer is, and we want to learn those 12s as well as up through 10 multiplication facts. 12 times 4 would give us 48. Number 4. Samara has 5 times as many apples as Asher. If Asher has 9 apples, how many does Samara have? Well, obviously you could draw a picture of apples, but that would take you a really long time. And as 4th graders, you are coming across more complex problems. We can go ahead, and I'm going to have S represent Samara. That's what we're trying to solve for, the variable. We know Asher has 9 apples, and Samara has 5 times. So here's Asher. Here's Samara's 5 times. Now we solve for S, which is the variable, the unknown. 9 times 5 is 45 apples. Number 5. Sally is 21 years old. Tanya is 3 times as old as Sally. How old is Tanya? Again, a really great strategy is to circle the numbers that are going to be important. So I'm going to go ahead and say, if we know that Sally is 21 years old and Tanya is 3 times that, we would get how old Tanya is. I'm going to put T as my variable to represent what we're solving for, which is Tanya's age. Now, we haven't gotten into multi-digit multiplication, but one way to solve this would be to take 21 3 times. And we can do that really quick. 2, 4, 6, 63 years old. You are going to go ahead into your Schoology folder and see what you need to do for the remainder of today's math work.